Okay, hi. I realize that I look incredibly oily right now. I'm not entirely sure why. Okay, so I mentioned in one of my last videos that I really wanted to do that makeup look of either Addison Ray or Madison Beer, whichever one it is. And everybody was like, please do it, because it's so beautiful. Just to refresh your memory, it's this one. And I just think it's absolutely stunning. So that's what we're going to be doing today. The inspiration for this look was obviously I saw the photo, and then I received the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Blush in, what shade is this? Pink Poetry, and it's just like the perfect color. My skin is prepped with moisturizer and my Ulta MD sunscreen. For moisturizer, I used my Skin Fix, and I was just like straight out of the shower. And then I also used my like prescribed exfoliating treatment thing. So what I kind of like about this base that I have going on right now is my skin is hydrated, but it's not like, I mean, even though it looks wet, it's not wet. But when I touch it, there's a little bit of a grip to it, which is going to be perfect to hold on to the makeup. The only problem is I do tend to get a little oily in my T-zone, so I am going to use just a tiny bit of the Tatcha, the Liquid Silk Canvas Primer, just like the tiniest amount, and I'm going to use that in basically just the areas where I tend to get oily, because this actually has done a really good job of mitigating oil for me. It also helps to just kind of like smooth imperfections. I want to say that Mary Phillips did this makeup, but Patrick Ta may have. I really don't know. Anyway, I'm going to try to achieve this as best as possible. It's really bronzy, just that beautiful pop with kind of like a natural but bronzy looking eye, you know? To start off, I'm going to color correct underneath my eyes, just get rid of the darkness with my LA Girl concealer. Now in my last video, I used what was that? The brightening primer from Color Science. And it really dried out, especially my under eyes. They just looked like so pebbled and dry. So this is gonna be the opposite because I look like what, but it's fine. So for my foundation, what I'm gonna do is, since I'm already looking pretty dewy and she doesn't have like a very dewy base, typically I would use my Rare Beauty foundation if I wanted something a little bit more like dewy, but today I'm gonna use my Elsie Cosmetics foundation. So this is in the shade Cameo, but I do mix in my color correcting green liquid from Makeup Forever to make it actually match me, because I'm very fair, warm olive. Literally my upper lip is sweating. Why does it have to be so hot right now? And it's not quite biodegraded yet. We're going to be using the EcoTools sponge until it dies. Look at this. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's got rips everywhere, but we're gonna use it anyway. The Elsie Cosmetics foundation that I am using is ever so slightly dark for me, but she looks really bronzy, so I'm gonna kind of like use a slightly darker foundation and then do a little bit of not reverse contouring, but I just want to create a little bit more of a bronzy look. Now this is something that you can do if you have fair skin like me, because she's obviously way more tan. So I'm going in with a foundation that is, I don't know, maybe like a shade darker than my skin tone. It's really not that much darker, but you can actually see like when I put it on, it's like a little bit darker. I'm gonna work this into the skin with the sponge. I prefer a wet makeup sponge or damp makeup sponge because I feel like it creates the most flawless finish. Doing kind of like major sections of my face. So I put out a little bit of my foundation on a paper towel and just let it like thicken up a little bit so that I could conceal, spot conceal these areas, because I feel like I don't have a concealer that like works well enough. So I'm gonna grab this little Wayne Goss brush, pick up a little bit of that foundation, and just kind of like pat it in the areas where I need a little more coverage. And then honestly, same thing. I'm just going to let that sit, thicken up a little bit, kind of set. It'll be a little bit more full coverage, and then I'll come back to it just like in a few minutes. So for my under eye concealer, I'm gonna start off with a little bit of the Dior Forever Skin Correct concealer, I think, in 1W, and I'm just going to place a tiny bit right here to add a little more warmth, I guess, a little bit of coverage and more warmth, and then I'm going with my Givenchy sponge, and I realize what it looks like. The comments on my last video were fucking hilarious. And I'm just placing this like right in the hollow of my eye, like right in here. taking a little bit in the corner, inner corner of my eye. All right, now I'm gonna go back in with that brush and I'm just going to kind of like pat over any breakouts and then kind of diffuse around the edges. The longer you wait, obviously, the more full coverage or the more coverage you'll get. This is a trick that you can do with concealer as well. I like doing it with foundation because it's like it already matches, you know what I mean? Like I don't have to worry about using two different products. All right, so she actually has like quite a bit, I mean, we obviously have very different face shapes. So I'm not gonna be able to do things exactly the way she's done them, but she doesn't have like a huge, you know, highlighting around her or underneath her eyes or anything. It's mostly the center of her forehead, a little bit on the chin. You know, the brightness I see like kind of here, and then like directly under her eyes. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use my, you know what? I'm gonna use my Chart. Oh my God. It's been a long time since I've done that. My Tarte Shape Tape in light sand. And I'm going to highlight here, take a little bit right there. Directly underneath my eyes, a little bit around my nose, my chin, and then it looks like she's got some brightening here, which I enjoy as well. I can't really tell, but I'm gonna put a tiny bit right here just because it looks like her like lower face is really highlighted. And then I'm gonna take a little right there. And then just for me personally, I'm gonna place a little bit in here to, you know, brighten up. And she doesn't really have any on the sides of her nose, I don't think. I guess I won't do that today. Wait, what's her name? It's this chick's tutorial, so I might as well, whatever. If you didn't see the other video where I talked about creating this look, I'm not familiar with this person. I just saw her posted by her makeup artist and I loved the makeup and I wanted to recreate it. So no disrespect, I'm just not familiar. So this is going to add a little bit of brightening. It's not like ridiculously light. So I'm just going in and blending. One of the things that like really attracted me to her makeup look was the fact that it was like just very flawless and pretty looking, but it didn't look ridiculously sculpted, you know, which is why I'm going in with very small amounts of product, including just like the amount of coverage that I'm applying, because I want it to be comfortable. All right, I'm gonna go into the inner corner with that little Wayne Goss brush to kind of like buff that in. When I blend out my under eye highlight, I'm going to kind of keep it like in here. So kind of like in the direct hollow of my eye. I'm gonna try not to take it like on the sides of my nose. So just like right here. And then once I have that blended, I'm gonna go back in with my foundation sponge and just kind of like blend around the edges to make sure that it's blended, but also the product is staying where I place it and it's not traveling. Because there's no point in putting your concealer like right here if you're gonna just like blend it out haphazardly and then it goes everywhere, you know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna do my brows. So this is actually gonna be a very different process for me. I don't have a powder, but her brows are like incredibly soft. They just look like very softly filled and then kind of like combed out, you know? So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna use my spoolie to begin with just to like brush them the way that I wanna wear them basically. And then I'm going to use, this might seem super strange, but I just started using this brow pencil and it is the Sigma Fill and Blend Brow Pencil, but in dark. And I just use a very light hand. It looks like a really dark gray, and hers are like very full, so we might as well just go full, you know? So I'm gonna use a very light hand, and I'm gonna just fill in the whole brow. She has like a really soft, kind of rounded arch. Interesting. Whenever I do these new things, I'm just like, do I want to keep doing this? So just a very light hand. You can see I'm holding it back pretty far. And what I'm gonna do is do the majority of the filling now. And then once I like set it later, For those of you who know my channel, you know that I go in with, I do soap brows. Then if there are any like sparse areas that I missed, I'll fill in probably with a brow pen. I'm gonna brush it out, go back in. So I really like the tails to be the statement, and that's where they're most sparse. I like that. The color is really good. They look fluffy. All right, that's what I'm not gonna clean them up at all because hers just looked like very, very natural, so. Okay, I'm gonna throw down a little bit of my Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer before I go in with my powders to set. My eyelids have been so dry recently, so I've got some like patchiness happening over there, which is so much fun. You won't be able to see it really. Okay, I'm not gonna make this mistake this time. Last time I was like, I just went in with all of my powders before I did my cream blush, which is what we're gonna use today. The star of the show and the inspiration for this look, for the most part, is the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Enlivening Blush in the shade Pink Poetry. And just, you know what I mean? If you guys don't have them, I'm so sorry. I hope that she restocks soon because I think they sold out. Stunningly beautiful. So I'm going to put a little bit of this on the back of my hand. I'm gonna smooth it out. So we have this going on. And then I'm going to take whatever's left over and just kind of like put it on my foundation sponge. And then she has like, the blush is like the hero of this, you know what I mean? Like it's on her cheeks, it goes up onto her nose. Like she just has this like really beautiful, like glowing blush and bronze look. And if we need to apply more, we will. So I'm starting kind of like up on my cheekbone, but also onto the apples of my cheek. So I'm focusing it more in like the front of my face. I usually focus it up a little bit higher. And then I'm going to slowly blend like directly underneath my eye, just kind of covering this whole area. You can use your fingers. These are like very just user-friendly blushes in general. I don't know if she used a cream blush. It kind of looks like powder, but I'm gonna put a little bit more out. I'm going to take a little bit of that on the top of my nose, down here a little bit. I'm gonna wipe off, or I'm just gonna like kind of press my sponge onto a paper towel. That noise is so annoying. And then go back in, really blend. Now I've really been loving using cream blushes because especially for this kind of thing, like it just literally looks like a part of your skin. And these blushes are, I mean, they melt in, it's insane. Like they've become my absolute favorite. All right, now I'm picking up my concealer sponge and just blending once again underneath my eyes so that my concealer is blended into that blush. That looks a little bit more like cohesive and melted together. Over here you can kind of see like a disconnect between the blush and the concealer. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of my LC Cosmetics Velvet Powder, what? Translucent Setting Powder underneath my eyes and in the center of my face. And I'm just using this in the areas where I need to set or I want to, you know, mattify a little bit and or brighten, because this is a brightening powder. All right, for my bronzer, I'm going to be using my Wayne Goss palette, the Radiance Boosting Face palette. I'm gonna use that Japanesque and or NARS brush. I think it's NARS, someone said. And I'm gonna do the whole Hung Van Gogh technique. Since I didn't set with a powder, I'm gonna use this to kind of set. I'm using a big fluffy brush and I'm just patting in the areas that I wanna bronze. Into my hairline, my temples, above the brow. She's like very bronzy, you know? And she's particularly bronzy right here, just above the tail of her brow. And then her cheeks don't look like super sculpted. They look just kind of like bronzed. So I'm going to kind of just like tap my brush like that. And I'm gonna kind of like just accentuate the blush a little bit. So I'm kind of using it to sculpt, you know, like around my cheekbone. But I really just want to like warm up this area a little bit further and, you know, connect this bronze up to my forehead. on the tip of her chin. I'm gonna take that along my jawline. I haven't done this cheek yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's fine, I do that. It's really nice when I have the two-tone hair because I don't have to worry too much about my bronzer getting in my hair. I can never use this brush if I were like fully platinum right now. I'm gonna take a bit of that on the tip of the brush. Once again, just dust it on the nose. And then to contour, I'm gonna use the contour shade, which I think is taupe. Light taupe from that palette. I don't think I'm gonna contour my cheekbones because she has like this sort of like round thing going on and I don't wanna, you know, distract from that. But I am gonna do underneath my jaw just a little bit. Let's zoom in and do the eyes before we do any highlight and stuff. Her highlight looks really, really natural. I can't even really see it, but I have to assume that she's wearing it. Get in here. What are you doing? My eyelids are dry and flaky, which is fantastic. I'm gonna take a little bit of my LC powder, and I'm just going to run it on my lids just to keep that creasing from happening. So her eyes are very, very natural looking. And one of the things that I absolutely love to do, and I love that professional makeup artists do, is to incorporate the products that you used on your face, for instance, your blush or your bronzer or even your contour or your highlight, into your eyes. And honestly, I don't know if she's wearing eyeshadow. It really just looks like she's wearing her bronzer and her contour in, you know, the crease of her eye. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm actually gonna start off with the bronzer, and I'm going to use my Wayne Goss number 16 big fluffy brush. Another thing that's really, really nice about this bronzer is it's just like, it's got a light amount of pearl in it, and it just like reflects light so beautifully. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it above my crease. And I'm gonna take it all the way in here, so into the inner part underneath my eyebrow. And I'm gonna keep it kind of just like diffused and rounded. It doesn't really look like super swept up, but I might do a little bit of that up to the tail of the brow. So just kind of pushing this whole area back, adding warmth, kind of diffusing it almost all the way up to the eyebrow. I can't really tell what's going on her lid. It looks like maybe slightly lighter. It could be the same color. I'm just gonna kind of like diffuse that down onto the lid. Because when I'm looking at the photo, it doesn't even look like she's wearing anything on her lid, but I really can't tell. So now I'm going to grab a smaller brush. I'm gonna use this little Stilazzi brush. This is the L211. It's just like this big, smaller. And I'm gonna go into that contour color. And I'm gonna put this right on the outer part of that crease. And that's the only place I'm gonna place it. So I'm gonna blend here, and then I'm gonna kind of drag it onto the outer part of the lid. So right in here, and then onto the lid, like against my lash line. Kind of in a C shape. I'm gonna hop down to I'm gonna hop down to the lower lash line, and I'm gonna pick up the bronze shade on a little brush and run that all underneath my lower lash line. Her, like what I refer to as my eye bag, is much smaller than mine. If you have just like this area, basically, like just cover that because it's gonna be the most flattering for your eye shape. I'm gonna use that same brush and I'm gonna pick up the contour color. I'm just gonna focus it a little bit closer to the tip, and then I'm gonna go basically over that, but I'm just trying to focus it closer to the lash line. Okay, she's definitely got eyeliner on the top and the bottom. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just trying to figure out which one I want to use. So I'm going to use the Makeup by Mario Master Pigment Pro Pencil in the Perfect Brown. What I like about these guys is they come with like a little brush on the end. So once you put it on, you can, you know, use that to kind of like buff it out. It just looks like it's kind of like drawn along her lash line to like thicken up her lashes. And I'm gonna keep it like above my lashes on the outer part. And then as I get closer to the inner, I'm just gonna get like basically just dot it on my lashes. Then I'm gonna go in with the little brush and kind of buff. I guess it's not really buffing, it's a little bit more of a patting and dragging motion. And as I get to the outer corner, just kind of like flicking motions. I'm gonna go back in and just kind of like build that up. She's got darker hair than me. Obviously she's a brunette. So whoever did her makeup may have used a black, but I feel like this brown is just kind of like nice. And if you feel like you do this, and you want to like ever so slightly wing it out, like ever so slightly, but you're always taking it too far, rather than going this way, try doing this. Because your hand is naturally going to like go out a little bit more, I think. So doing this ensures that you're not like dragging it out too far. Can I be honest? Like I was gonna film a bridal tutorial, but I feel like this is it. Like this looks so beautiful. All right, and then I'm gonna take that same liner and I'm going to do kind of the same thing, but on the outer corner of the lash line, the lower lash line. So just like right here. Focusing it there, and then same deal with the brush, just patting and blending. Actually, yeah, no, this is fine. I might go back in with my eyeshadow though. I'm just gonna use that little brush that I applied the eyeshadow with to go over that and just kind of soften it and make it blend into the eyeshadow. This might sound so specific and crazy, but it looks like she has this like very specific shadow happening, like with a contour, like on the inner corner of her eye. So I'm gonna grab this Linda Hallberg's brush. This is just an angled brush. It's the 333. And I'm gonna grab the contour color that we used. And I'm going to place that just around my inner corner. I think it was used to just make her eyes look a little more almond, without doing the whole like ridiculous fox eye look, you know? Okay, I'm going to grab that same brush that I just used on the lower lash line. I'm gonna pick up my contour one more time, and I'm going to go over that liner just to soften it, and then buff over here. And I really feel like I need to set the lid with something, but it just doesn't look like she has anything on her lid. Like I don't really know what to use. I think I'm just gonna take this, this brush and grab a little bit of my Ilia setting powder and literally just like put it on my lids. And then I'll just buff it into the crease. And I mean, if you want to, you could use something shimmery, but it doesn't look like she has anything shimmery. This is just like such a natural look. Okay, let's do a highlight. She's definitely got a highlight on. I just can't really see it. So I'm gonna use something that's like incredibly natural for my skin. Use the, ooh, you know, this is so good. We'll use the Revlon Skin Lights Prismatic Highlighter. This is in the shade Daybreak. This is one of my favorite highlighters, and I just feel like it's this beautiful, like, bronzy gold. I feel like it'll really complement this. For my cheekbones, I'm using this NYX brush. This is supposed to be a powder brush, I think. Like, it came with some powders, but that's not what I'm gonna use it for. It's the number 24. So I'm just gonna dip into that highlight, dust it in a C shape on the tops of my cheekbones. I'm gonna go just above the eyebrows. I'm gonna do a little bit on the tip of the chin, tiny bit on the tip of the nose. And then I think I'm just gonna use the tip of that brush rather than like using something structured, and I'm gonna just dust it underneath my eyebrow. All right, and then for the very inner corner, I'm gonna use this little Yano series brush number 1. And And I don't even really see that much of like a glow, but this also isn't like the best quality photo, you know? So this might be a liberty, but I want to open up this area. I'm going to set my brows with my Dr. Bronner soap. All right, I'm going to apply a few coats of mascara for my top lashes. I'm going to use CoverGirl Lash Blast Waterproof, and then buck some Extrovert for my lower lashes. All right, I'm gonna finish off my, ooh, not with that color. I'm gonna finish off my brows. I'm looking for my gray black NYX brow pen. All right, the lashes, because she has these really beautiful flares, and honestly, they look like individuals, but I have some lashes that are just gonna like immediately make this effect. That are not individuals, and they're just like my absolute favorite. So it's just like, look at that beautiful flare, you know? Absolutely stunning. So the lashes that I'm gonna use are by Love Scene. They are in the style Inez. Look at them. I've used these a few times, and every time I wear them, people are like, oh my God. And they're just like my absolute favorites. Like, look at these. And they're segmented, so you can kind of like mix and match, you know, and create your perfect look. Aren't those sick? They're like maybe a little bit more than what she's got going on, but I just like really love them. You know, I guess mine are a little bit more winged, but they're just like, oh, can't even see it. But they're just like so friggin' sick that I couldn't not, you know what I mean? All right, let's do the lip. So for my lips, I'm going to line them. This is a little bit difficult because she is flooded with light. Like she's probably sitting in front of a window. That's kind of what it looks like. So the lip looks a little bit lighter than it actually is, I think. So I don't know entirely what to do here, but I'm basically just gonna, I'm gonna line my lips the way I've been doing them. I'm gonna start off with with Melt Cinder, which is, I don't even know how to describe it, but that's what I'm gonna start off with. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna start off with Melt Ambrosia, which is red. Bear with me, okay? I'm gonna use this as my like contour. Because here's the thing, her lips are overlined. Like 100% they're overlined. Now I'm gonna go in with Cinder. Finish off the shape. Now this is obviously not the exact color, but I feel like it's pretty close, this lip liner. So what I'm gonna do is fill in my lips with this lip liner. And as I fill them in with that color, I'm just kind of like blending into the contour color. All right, now that I have this nice matte base, I'm gonna go in with the blush over top of that. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that on my fingertips. All of them? No. And then I'm gonna, that's pretty close. I feel like we did okay. I mean, my lashes are a little more intense than hers, but I feel like we did okay. Okay guys, that's it. I was like, did I miss any steps? I kind of love it. I mean, I accidentally overlined my Cupid's bow a little too much and I can't fix it and I look like a fish, but like, other than, I really want to fix it, motherfucker. I can't tell if that's better. Whatever. Anyway, this is the finished makeup look. I really like it. I do think that I probably should have used individuals though, because these lashes are making a little bit more of a statement than hers, but overall I really love it. Hopefully these tricks kind of helped you if you're fair-skinned and you want to look bronzy, because I'm looking at myself in the mirror and looking at my hands and I'm like, this doesn't look ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like I feel like my skin looks bronzy and glowy without looking like a fair girl who's just put like way too much fucking bronzer on, you know? All right guys, that's it for this makeup tutorial. I really enjoyed it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's just like spring and summertime. It just like screams like clean skin, you know? It was actually pretty quick. You don't have to go like so glam, and you can definitely leave like contour and stuff like that out of it, just like really, really, really quick. No falsies, you know, use your bronzer, use your blush, use your highlight in your eyes, and just pick like a statement lip, and I feel like it's gonna look sick for, honestly, this is beautiful wedding makeup in my opinion, like with the liner, you know? All right guys, that's it. Thank you so much for, I was gonna say thank you for requesting this video. You did, but I was like, do you wanna see this? I'm gonna do it. And you were like, yes, we wanna see that. So thank you for enabling me. Whatever, I need to go. I'm gonna go have a salad. All right, this was fun. Bye.